Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Money Matters. Thank you so much for tuning in. For all of you guys who are watching, welcome back to Money Matters. But if you're someone who is new at the show, thank you so much for taking your time to join us today. I truly, truly appreciate it. So, for those of you who are new, Money Matters is basically a talk show where we want to talk about personal finance, business finance, literally anything and everything about money. And I think money is something that is so essential. It's something that is involved in all of our lives. Even if you don't want to talk about money, it still plays a huge role in our lives. So we want to have a platform where we can have these conversations about money, learn from each other's experiences, learn some of the basic knowledge that you should know about money, and use this as a platform to come back and have that conversation. So if you're a student who's watching this, my hope is that whatever we have in this platform, in this talk show, benefits you absorb it, you start thinking about money and what are your beliefs about money, and hopefully it will serve you well in the years to come as you grow up. And if you're a young adult or any other age, maybe the conversations that we have here will spark something in you, and maybe you'll start thinking about some of the ideologies or beliefs that you have with money, or some of your habit patterns with regards to money. I just hope that it will get us all to start having conversations about it and get started in managing our money in a much, much better manner. So we have featured so many amazing speakers so far. It has definitely been a very, very exciting journey. Of course, I also wrote like a book called Money Matters about a year ago. It has been 1 year since I published the book, where I compiled some of these experiences of having these conversations with people as well. So if you guys have not gotten a copy of that, you can actually get a copy of that on our website, ascendancepro.com. The link is also in the description. So today's session is something I've been looking forward to for a very, very, very long time. If you're someone who is familiar with Ascendance's activities, our guest speaker is someone you would already be familiar with. But if you're not, do not worry. I'm definitely going to introduce our guest speaker. So our guest speaker is actually the current Senior Director of Strategic Partnerships at Wharton Interactive. If you guys haven't seen him yet, he is Levent Yarar, an amazing, amazing person that I personally have had the opportunity to meet. He has an extensive amount of experience in terms of education, in terms of business development, marketing, just building connections with people. I've never met anyone who is so passionate about all of these things. And currently, in his role in Wharton Interactive, he's looking into building partnerships so that they can together democratize education, which I think is amazing. If you guys have watched some of our recent Ascendance's activities, you would definitely have heard about some of the activities that we're organizing together with Wharton Interactive. They were also part of the recent Global Game Changers Summit, where they shared about what they do in Wharton Interactive as well. But Levent himself, I think he started off in tourism, and then he went on to like consulting and operations and literally everything and anything. There's no way I can comprehend the amount of experiences that he has. Hence why I decided to invite him on the show, because there is so much of experience that all of us can learn from, and definitely we should not miss the opportunity to do so when we have it. So without further ado, let me welcome a very, very, very good friend and an amazing individual, Levent Yarar, on screen.
Hello.
Hello.
Is that me that you talked about? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
no, it's completely different. Who are you? You're a complete imposter.
I think I'm an imposter.
Thank you so much for agreeing. I know I've been asking you for like a long time ago, and I did not do much about it, but still, thank you so much for taking your time to be here.
It's always a pleasure to talk to Mathura, and I look forward to this conversation, like all the other conversations we had in the past. So
Yes,
happy.
my personal favorite was the culture one we did on Backstage Spotlight. So that was good. So money
Yeah,
matters. I mean,
it's
I
it's all related. So money, culture, it is. I mean, and we'll go into it.
oh my god, we should definitely talk about that. Okay, I shall come back to that later. But I mean, this is not a topic that a lot of people like to talk about. It's something very, very personal. And I personally have had issues to like struggle to talk about it to people like, for example, in my parents' generation and all of that. So is it something, is money something that you personally have had conversations about, or is it something new for you?
Well, first of all, I'm probably at your parents' generation. So,
Yep.
yeah, good. Thank you for reminding me that too. And
I'm,
and I'd say this: money could be a good thing,
yep.
and money could be an evil thing. By the way, I'm getting a little bit background noise. It's if as long as you're good.
I'm good.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm worried now. But
All
okay.
right. So money is both evil and good. It's good when you know how to manage it, you know. It's good when you understand what it means to have money. But it's bad when you feel that money is power, money is gold, money is where you try to say that this is my whole life is based on money. I need to make more money and be a consumer, etc., etc. How bad is it to put people into this one word? They're consumers. And I think that's all related to money. And my generation, I come from a very middle class, and so money was a very important topic, but also a very difficult topic. So at the young age, I realized what it means to have or not have it, and how this could really ruin you, your life, your personal life, your family life, how much stress puts on you. I mean, so there's a lot of things we can talk about money.
Yep.
And I think I learned a lot during my childhood what it should be and what it should not be. So I started realizing the money concept at a very young age because, again, coming from a middle class and coming from Turkey at the same time where we didn't have much in terms of a country, you know, we were resourceful. We had our own food, etc. We could, you know, grow and feed ourselves, but we didn't have extra luxuries like cars, etc., like phones. Phone was a luxury. So coming from that, knowing what's less is good, I have different terminology for money. Let me stop here because I know you have some challenging questions for me. So it started at a very young age, the concept of money. And it's completely different for me than probably for many people that are out there, especially I'm in a capitalist economy where, or country where everything is, you know, sort of like indexed to money, and I have challenges with that. I have problems with that.
I mean, I completely agree with that. Recently, I've been learning more about the states and their culture and all of that, and I'm like, wow, it's so much more different, and it, money is a huge aspect of it as well. Yeah, so I definitely would like to come back to your childhood and um,
It
what
might take years to talk about that. Okay.
yeah, I know if we go every year. Oh no. You're young, Levin. You're young. So, but regardless of being young, with your extensive experience, I'm gonna ask you the most important question. My favorite question to pose to any speaker who comes on Money Matters, because it brings all the juicy stuff out. So, my favorite question is this: what is the biggest money mistake that you have made, or something that comes to your mind and you still have the lesson etched deep in you?
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake at a young age you make, we all do, by the way. It's not just selectively for related to my experiences, but it is where you make money as your, you know, end, as your goal, as opposed to it's something that you have or have enough of it as a means, as something you can have, you know, to use by other things. So there's two definitions here. One is to make it your goal. I am going to be rich. I'm going to own this. I'm going to do that. And the other one is I have money. With this money, I can do this, do that. Because we all have to earn living and we have to earn money. I'm not against that, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody has to earn living and money, and we gotta have to have money. Otherwise, we can't do the basic things. What I'm saying is, how much money should not be your goal.
Yep.
It should be your goal should be successful, but you shouldn't correlate your success to how much money you make,
Yeah.
how much salary you're getting, how many cars you have. Because if you put that as your threshold, there is no end to it. You're not going to stop. It's human nature, okay? I mean, we make some X amount. If we that's X amount, oh my God, I did the X amount. Let's do it. Let's do more. Double
Yep.
X, triple
Yep.
X. Now, but I'm not going to say that everybody making double X, triple X feels money is power. Some of those people out there, once they go about the 2X, 3Xs, they donate that money. They
Yep.
give that money to the good causes. They put it the money where there's social injustices or social impact. So I'm not putting out money as a evil on every case, but a lot of times what I've seen in my lifetime is when you have too much power, or when you have power, your true self comes out. And
Yep.
money is power. If you don't know how to handle it, you're lost. And a lot of times you see that in people. So there's this balance where you have to say, A, money is not my end. B, if I make more than enough I'm talking about myself,
Yep.
can I use that money to give it to other people? Can I make it, change people's lives? Is there some way, other ways that I can contribute them? I mean, currently I'm doing these kind of things. That's right. And I'm not rich by any means. I can, uh, you know, I'm doing a decent living based on my salary within my limitations, but still, it's not what you earn. It's how you earn and what you do with that money. So I would say the biggest mistake we make in lifetime is to equate your goals to a money figure. But
Yep.
you know what? They teach us at the business schools. It's a mistake, by the way. We had this conversation, you might remember. The goal of an organization is not to maximize profits, it's to optimize. There's huge difference between maximizing profit and optimizing profit. And
Yep.
because we're taught to maximize it, everything we look at is driven by how much more money I can make. Who can I squeeze more? Where else I can go beat my competitors? So even in the business world, it's a problematic concept, maximizing profit, maximizing money. So I'll
Yep.
stop here again. Let's part.
I love that. I mean, one of the optimizing thing, if you're an individual, it's making yourself better, uh, continuously improving. I think if you focus on that, money is going to come to you. But I personally, when I work with young adults in terms of managing their finance, one of the things that I noticed is a lot of them kind of like take this means goal a bit differently, where they'll get caught up in the
Sure.
getting these small things that they wanted to get, like, oh, I want to buy this new thing, I want to spend money on this particular thing, and I'm not going to focus on how much savings I want to have, because what's the big deal about that? At the end of the day, it's about living life. So they can, in somehow, the right intention turns into them going back into the same mode of finding something materialistic. So how do we like really make sure we are staying on really clear about this thing?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not their fault. It's
Yep.
it's the amount of messaging they get. It's the
Yep.
amount of peer pressure they're getting. It's trying to become someone that you probably shouldn't be. Commercialism, consumerism, and doing that without not enough money. I mean, if you ask those young people that you're talking to, how much of them are really buying with true money versus using some sort of a credit? It's daunting to see this. I mean, it's hard to see it, but a lot of these young people equate them having an iPhone 14 as a status, as opposed to it's a means to have a communication, or
Yeah.
that's where the challenge is. I mean, and this is all marketing. I mean, their marketing is brilliant, by the way. They
Yeah.
know where to hit you with, self-esteem and everything. You need to have that phone to be liked more. I'm like, you don't need to. So we've been going through this type of commercialism and consumerism for, I think, since 1980s, and it's going into the developing countries more and more.
Yeah.
And it's becoming challenging for those young people in Malaysia, in Turkey, everywhere you find. It's
Yep.
becoming harder and harder, and they're confused. They need to have iPhone 14, and I'm not against iPhone 14. Don't get me wrong. I have a phone like that, but why do you need that phone? Is the question I want to ask them.
Yeah.
Why? What's the purpose? I mean, if it's something that you make use out of it, wonderful. But if it's to prove that you're someone, you will never be able to do that, because life is not built like that. So
Yep.
I'm worried about that generation, where the concept of money is really very hard for them to grasp, because they haven't earned it yet. Once they start earning and going into the real life, there's rude awakening. I mean, and
Yeah.
there is a serious problems. But I mean, I just want to, since this is open, one of the reasons why I had one second marriage was because the first marriage, financial matters, we weren't able to agree on how to raise the kids. Okay,
Yep.
my problem was you don't want to give them 20 Christmas gifts, because what's the value of the first one versus the 20th?
Yep.
Or I mean, this is where I have problems with it. Uh, also family driven. The parents are sometimes do not see. They do it for the good of their heart, but they don't realize it how much damage they are
Yep.
bringing to the lives of these young brains by giving them so much and saying, you know what? It's okay. Have it, enjoy, be happy. It's good time. It's
You can have it
Christmas.
all.
It's New Year's Eve. It's blah blah blah. But hey, when they go into the real life, they realize that, oops, that's
Yep.
not that easy. So anyhow, I mean, it's a challenging, especially I'm worried about the young generations to
Yep.
come. Hopefully, they realize that money is not that easy. It's not grown on trees. It just you have to work very, very hard to earn it. But you know, it's a challenge we have to face. Just what
Yep.
you're there, you're talking to them. I bet you have a lot of stories to tell.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Sometimes painful stories for me, but yes, I completely agree. I think with the accessibility to debt that people have now, the young people have now, it's getting even more scarier. Um, but for someone, let's say, like what you were mentioning, like with having access to things like iPhone 14, and that's what, and the amount of marketing and all that is being done, uh, it's getting harder and harder for youngsters too.
Mhm.
So like it's a lot about being able to cope with a whole new environment, a whole new way globalization that's taking place. In your personal experience, because like you did travel all across the world, and I'm sure at one point when you were coming to the to, is it west, would you call it west? You're already in the west for me. When you came to the states, I'm sure it was definitely a culture shock, and like you said, you when you encounter the capitalist world, it is definitely very different. So how were you managing that, and what were the struggles that you personally faced when you did that?
I'm still struggling. Honestly, I still
Yep.
struggle with that kind of concept where you have more than you need, or you don't have enough, but you still try to get it.
Yep.
So, but there are cultures, for example, in Europe, people are still sticking to their norms, values, where giving gift is not that critical. Being as a family is more important.
Yep.
So it's a matter of the economic system and your values that also plays a critical. I know in Christmases in Europe are different. I'm using the example of Christmas because that's where, believe it or not, I don't know if you knew this, 70% of retail in the United States happens between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
My lord. 70%. My lord. Okay.
Yep.
This-
Especially, yeah, I mean, there's these staggering numbers that it's all the whole economy almost depends on the retail side
Yep.
for this. This is why they have the Black Friday. This
Yep.
is why they have the uh, Tech Monday or whatever online Monday. Thank God they put a Tuesday now, so there's a little bit balance. I don't know how much people are giving on Tuesday, but
Yep.
what I'm saying is when you face a culture like that, when you see an economy based on consumption only, then you say, oh my God, do we have enough money to do this? Yeah, I mean, if you have credit cards and if you raise have your credit cards jacked to a point where you cannot pay anymore, yeah, that's a danger. It's a quite danger, and it's danger for the future, not just today. It's the danger that you're growing this, or look, the United States has always been a rich country because their value, dollar, the real money, is
Yep.
valuable, and so people can still survive. But someone in Turkey looking at the U.S. and saying, wow, they have this. Why don't I have it? Or from
Yep.
Malaysia. Oh, they have it. But listen, compare your own value, your money, Turkish lira, or your currency, and then say, do you have the same purchasing power?
Yep.
Can you buy the same amount with your minimum wage? No, you cannot. So there has to be some sort of a balance here where we say, listen, guys, I'm sorry. And I'm not against buying things or giving things or
Yep.
earning things, but we have to do it within our means. We can't just go out there and say, let's do it. I mean, that's why I'm always stayed away from speculative money, like
Yep.
because I can't see stock market logically. For me, it's illogical that something has to always go higher and higher and higher. It's just not sustainable in my world. I mean,
Yep.
I don't see as a someone who had MBA, it's like this doesn't make sense to me. I mean, or the value of houses
Yep.
increasing by threefold. And what's the purpose? I mean, making money from speculation that doesn't give back anything to the society, unless you're the one who's speculating. But how many people can speculate that? So
Yep.
there's this imbalance that I'm always struggled with since I came, and I'm still struggling with. So I don't know. I think I'm going to get out of it when I go to a village, raise my own tomatoes, have my chicken, have my eggs, and grab the apple
Yep.
and enjoy it. I think that's when I'm going to say, okay, I made it. I'm
Yep.
rich. I'm fulfilled. Honestly, it's just hard otherwise to live and understand the logic behind all this craziness. It's
Yep.
craziness for me.
I mean, one thing I feel would help is listening to this, because then we would have, like, for example, students here in Malaysia who are going to be thinking differently about this, not just what is being fed to them in a way, and that matters a lot more.
They're doing a terrific marketing job, and they can read human psychology, young, old, middle class, luxury. It doesn't make any difference.
Yep.
They are they're great in segmenting and messaging each segment differently so that you are tempted to buy more, whatever you are. I mean, whether it's luxury or middle class or I mean, look, Maslow's here hierarchy of needs,
Yep.
right? The first one starts with feeding yourself. Second one is security. And
Yep.
then it starts going into self-esteem, self-actualization, etc., etc. I mean, we're living in a society where a lot of people cannot afford to really have insurance. They don't have a good place to live. They don't probably nutritiously feed themselves, but they have the latest iPhone or Samsung, whatever we want to call it,
Yep.
because not it's a necessity, but it's a status, it's self-fulfillment,
Yep.
self-esteem. That's where I'm having problems in terms of like our value system needs to be readjusted, recalibrated. And I'm
Yep.
not saying people shouldn't have, again, it's not against the, it's just against the having items like cars, for example, in Turkey, people have cars. Some houses have two cars. A, insurance is expensive. B, oil is expensive. C, the huge traffic problems.
Yep.
I mean, why don't we put the money in the infrastructure where we can build, you know, and this is why I like Europe better than a lot of places. The train system, the subways, the metros, there's still that less commercialization where you don't need to have a car or stuff like that. You can go from one place. In the US, you can't go from one place to another without having a car. You have to have
Yep.
a car, unless
Yep.
you're living in a place like Philadelphia where
Yep.
you can walk to places. But a lot of places, you have to have a car. If
Yep.
not one, maybe two. So that's for me is challenging conceptually.
Agreed. Agreed. Definitely. Definitely. Everyone needs to definitely look at their values and see whether they're sticking to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm maybe giving you a very pessimistic look, but
No, not at all. Not at all.
honestly, having been there, having done that, I used to have $1,000 dinners where for my clients, etc.
Yep.
I look at back and say, what the hell was I thinking? I might excuse my language. You might want to beep that part, but what was I thinking? I mean,
Yep.
granted, it was we having clients out, etc. But you know what? That's not a sustainable business model. Also, you want to build relationships. You just don't need to do it based on how much money you spend for them. You just build it on how much value you guys generating, and that's
Yep.
true for friendship. If you have a good friend, they don't need you to have a latest phone or the
Yeah.
most expensive jeans or the shoes that who knows wears that you have to wear too,
Yeah.
because that's not what your true friends look for. They look for you for become someone that's your soulmate, where you can talk to them. It doesn't have to do anything with money, okay?
Yep.
And if we can find those balances, I think we will. The world will be in a better place. But I'm not seeing it yet.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. It brings back the whole optimizing,
Yeah,
I don't know, resources, profits, all of it. Just
yeah,
optimizing it, getting it better.
yeah.
You don't need to be extravagant in everything to make things
No,
work.
no,
So,
because you have to optimize your living. You don't need to put X amount of dollars and make yourself unhappy each time you reach that X amount and want to
yeah,
have more. And some people might do it, but that's going to be a minority, a very
yeah,
little percentage, not everyone. We're humans. Psychologically, we are not programmed to stop. We're programmed to, you know, we go to hunting, we hunt more, unless somebody says you can't hunt more than two. Okay,
yeah,
and sometimes they. So that's our mentality. Still in that in that very primitive thinking process.
one thing I liked about what you said earlier is like looking into giving back. Like I also recently only discovered the whole Giving Tuesday thing. Like oh, that's an actual thing right now. So how do we make that as part of our lifestyle? Because one thing that tends to happen most of the time when I meet people is that when they don't have enough, they're like, okay, I don't have enough, I'm gonna take care of my things first. And then when they do end up having more than enough, it never crosses their mind because they've always been the kind of person who says, I'll look at this later.
Yeah.
So how do we actually make it like a way of life in terms of your own
Mhm.
life? Like how did you make it happen?
It's about what makes you happy. As simple as that.
Okay.
Some people think that money or having money makes them happy, when in fact, in my case, I'm happy when I see people are learning something, people are gathering something and using that to build something else, because that's a chain reaction. You know, if you do good deed to someone, someone hopefully will take that and do it another way. So
Yep.
that makes me happy. And I think the true definition of happiness is, for me at least, seeing other people happy, seeing that they're accomplishing something. I think that that's the core fundamental thing we need to educate our children, our grandchildren, our students. Learn what makes you happy. And
Yep.
when you find out what makes you happy, and hopefully that is something like not owning a good basketball shoes or something, that it will be easier for them to learn to give.
Yep.
Giving is the most important thing in human nature. And I mean, a lot of cultures are based on that, you know,
Yep.
and there was a reason for that, because that's what made them happy. So I'd say trying to adjust that. Giving, how do we um, give and make sure that we enjoy that giving?
Yep.
And not only that, when you give, you learn from that feeling a lot. I mean,
I agree.
how do you do that with kids, children, students? It starts in the family. You have to teach them. Look, I have two kids. I fought hard for them not to become um, consumers. Instead,
Yep.
try to become global citizens. And they, right now, both of them worked, lived in NGOs. They understand the value of um, money, what it means to have it, not to have it, how to live within your means, and I'm proud of that. And I think every parent should be proud of that too. Not let them be good citizens, let them
Yep.
be good global citizens, and help each other. I think that's what I look for every time I look at my kids and give them that value. I think it starts with the family.
I completely agree with that. I'm all the most of my things, habits with regards to money, how I view it, giving back, and all of that comes from my parents. And only because of that am I able to do it so easily. If
Sure.
not, I would definitely have so much of mental blocks towards it to overcome. Um, what I wanted to ask. Yeah. So y- we were talking about like these are the don't do stuff. So I want to know about like maybe your top three you must do or like you should do, you can do for audiences. Like three things that you personally have done with regards to your money that really helped you in terms of managing it that you would encourage our young audiences to do as well.
Yeah, first of all, learn to save.
Okay. Yes,
I think
definitely.
it's very important to save, because I look at money as not power, but for safety. It's a security thing.
Yep.
All right, that would be number one. Secondly, never put money as your goal. Definitely. And the number one or two, it doesn't make any difference. I mean,
Yeah.
these are
Yeah.
things that I would say.
Yep.
Three, make money. I'm not saying don't make money. I'm
I like
saying make money, but make sure that it's not your second thing, which is your goal. And tied to the first one, save it.
make money. Don't be those kind of people who say don't make money, money is evil
No,
and all
no,
that.
no, no,
Actually,
no.
it's a
I'm
great
not saying,
resource.
yeah,
So make money, save it,
save
and
it
don't make it
and
your goal.
don't make it a goal. And be
Perfect.
happy, learn to give back. Those are the things I would say to everyone.
Okay. I mean, I was going to make that my last question, but I have one more thing I wanted to ask you, which is you are someone who actually has delved into entrepreneurship, like you know business and all of that. So, how do you think being an entrepreneur actually shapes in terms of people's money mindset and all? Because I feel like how employees view money and how entrepreneurs view money is very different.
Yeah,
So in your experience, like why should we like do you think everyone should be an entrepreneur so that they get to develop some of that important money habits?
absolutely. Because that you understand the full meaning of not having enough money to what your dream is. How you can start things on a shoestring. There's even a book about that,
Yep.
starting business on a shoestring. And we tried that, by the way.
Yep.
I read that book and I tried starting businesses on a shoestring. I think entrepreneurship, those skills that you learn, help you not only in your business life, but on your personal life too. Because it's a good learning and teaching tools. And as you know, not entrepreneurs are successful. As a matter of fact, most of the entrepreneurs fail. And
Yes.
you learn, but for me it's not, and you know this statement that I always use, it's not about win or lose, it's about win or learn. So
Yep.
even if you're not successful from entrepreneurship, you understand what it means to have scarce resources, that you don't have enough, and how do you make use of it effectively. And the banks are not going to give you money because you have a brilliant idea, never. Or venture capitalists, even if they do, you're even asked to produce more than normal. Okay, so you'll see that having money or asking for money is going to be even harder when you're an entrepreneur, and that will bring a lot of lessons from your, how to do more with less. How
Yep.
do you squeeze that $1 to make it look like it's $10 and benefit from it? So, yeah, entrepreneurship skills is so important in anybody's life,
Yep.
whether you want to work in a business or you want to be a good person. I think that's valuable. I think it's a great question, Matura.
It's almost like the best playground to have to learn how to optimize, because I think if that's the best place to learn. I don't think it.
Absolutely. Anytime you start your own business, anytime you do stuff for yourself, you'll learn better than just going working at. But so that you know, in my business school, they taught me to learn at somebody else's capital, so at somebody else's expense. Because even if you make mistakes, you might be fired, but financially, you won't be ruined. So
Yep.
there is, again, it's money related.
Yep.
Risk equals money here in this case. And one thing I always said when I managed and led people, you can make mistakes. Mistakes are recoverable as long as it's not financial losses. Okay.
Yep.
If you're making a mistake and you're making a financial loss, that is irrecoverable. But if you make a mistake that we can fix it, it's not a problem. So there are even levels where money plays a different role based on the risk assessment. So which can take about 10 years to talk about, all these.
We should just have a never-ending money matters.
Yeah, yeah.
Bringing things
You
up.
know, the last 48 hours you guys did with
Yeah.
the global forum, I think we can do this like 48 days just to make it
Oh
fun.
wow. 48 days just on money. Oh my god.
Uh,
Levin,
okay.
don't plan ideas in me.
All right, I will. I will.
Perfect. That was awesome. I mean, I would like love to continue talking, but I think we are coming to the end of our time. So to kind of wrap it up, because there is so much we can talk about. Um, one thing that you'd like to leave our audiences with. with regards to money?
Money is not happiness. It might bring happiness as long as you know how to handle it.
Yeah.
Don't equate money to power. Don't make your money to gold. I mean, I know I'm saying more than one thing, but it's all related.
Yes.
Keep it, make it sure that your happiness is related to giving something as opposed to always taking or buying or anything. So look at money from a different perspective. That's what I would say. I would say my parting goodbyes. And I know a lot of your listeners will hate me, but hey, that's okay. That guy,
I don't think so. I think this I don't think they will hate it. I'm sure they are enjoying today's session a lot. So thank you so much for taking your time to be a guest speaker on Money Matters. It truly means a lot to me personally. Really enjoyed this conversation. And
likewise. Thank you, as always, Mathura. You're
yep.
doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. That means a lot. So, guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, you can stay tuned with us. Just for join our Telegram group where we actually update all of our upcoming topics. And yeah, hope to see you guys in our future sessions. Thank you so much for being here. Levin and me signing off. Have a great day.